Hey guys, Daniel here. We record a shorter episode for you, and we talk about how to be happy. But we spend a fair amount of time on gratitude, and yeah, hope you enjoy. Thanks for listening.
I'm just not going to touch anything.
Yeah, me neither. This was. We have been podcasting for 45 minutes, and we just started. Te-
38.
okay, I'm rounding up. 45 sounds worse, you know?
But it also would mean that we have less time. So in a sense, it's
Do we
better
have
that
to?
it's only
Do
been
we really
38.
have to end at 7?
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
The kids had an early nap today and it wasn't super long. So my
Well,
wife was
Kyle,
asking,
then this was a great dry run then, but I'm not going to try to record a 20 I'm not going to record a 26-minute podcast with you.
no, it'd be a 36-minute podcast.
7 is 26 minutes away.
Oh, we're on the
If
other
you
side of 34.
if you do the yeah, it was 34 not left, but
Yeah,
you want to try to record it.
I was counting down.
I mean, we can go for what did you say? 40 40 what?
Never mind.
You want to try to record a 26-minute podcast? You want to go just
Sure.
like a little short one? Well,
Yeah.
that's fine. I don't know that we. I mean, yeah. So I want to specifically avoid one thing, that I've been talking about way too much with everybody, and anytime anybody says it, I'm gonna bleep it out, whether that's me or you. So that'll be fun to
Well,
edit.
let's talk about the barking up the wrong tree post on happiness.
On
Because
happiness, yeah.
is
Everybody
that
needs a little
why
bit.
you found that? Or
Oh
how you
yeah,
found that?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I looked specifically for. I was looking for things that don't have to do with. See, that's gonna be the first bleep. Um, We can, I mean, we can run through our show notes and just do kind of we could just do Lord of the Rings update. I'm into the third book finally. Okay?
Yay!
Yeah, okay. James is our number one YouTube fan. Somebody who
Yay!
you got to stop that. That's not it's not going to be great.
Yay! Happiness.
Happy. Oh gosh. So you got to be genuine, Kyle, otherwise it's not going to do anything for you.
Pollyanna was genuine.
Who's Pollyanna?
Oh, it was this movie from, I don't remember when it was from, but she's this girl in this movie who just epitomizes being happy no matter what until the very end when she becomes a realist. But then everyone else becomes happy because she was so happy.
Does that is the name of the movie Pollyanna?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I haven't. I don't know. How did it feel? Okay, so James being our number one YouTube podcast fan, how did it feel to be corrected by him about snuff? Pretty good?
That was fine. He
Oh.
smokes, I don't.
Does he?
Yeah.
I didn't know. James, stop it.
I mean, it's like a half a pack a day, but
I'm pretty sure he smokes a pipe and not. He doesn't smoke cigarettes.
smokes what?
I said pipe.
Oh,
A pipe, not pot. A pipe. And anyway,
no, he smokes cigars, big fat stogies.
half a pack a day? That's a lot of cigars. I guess I don't know how many are in a pack, but
No, he smokes one, maybe once a week at his highest rate.
mm, pretty sure that you're gonna get a call about that. That's funny though. Well, yeah. So there we go. We're I guess the only other thing we talked a little bit about what we were while we were trying to figure out our technical difficulties.
Which were solved by simply restarting my computer, as all technical difficulties are.
Which was pretty short, if I recall. It only took you
When your computer is 7 years old.
prior to our current president, almost prior to our previous president. Not quite, but yeah. So the other thing that I'd been working on, well, that I hadn't talked about, is I've been writing a lot more. It's been a lot of fun. So I think I'd mentioned that last time, but it's
Yeah, well, I mean, the last couple times you've talked about using the Leviathan method to really
hmm
break through some barriers that you had
yeah.
kind of
So
been stuck there for a while.
I've probably written, I don't know, 30 or 40 pages in the last, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks. That's a
And
pretty
just for
significant uptick.
comparison, yeah, yeah. So for comparison, kind of how many pages would you have written a week on a decent week, would you say?
I don't know that I would make that comparison because I just tend to go in spurts anyway. Like it's just like I'll sprint essentially for a shorter
Uh-huh.
period of time, but normally that's let's say in a month I would spend 1 week sprinting, and I
Right.
would I would write 10-ish pages in a sprint, and then I would be done for a bit. But I like the consistency. That's kind of a nicer segue into some of these things. That's from the article that we read, which I'm going to link to, but it's essentially how to be happy, backed by science. We're not going to get into the science at all. We're just going to take the things that he talks about here. And one of the things he mentions is frequency beats intensity. It's one of his last ones. And unless there's something else you want to talk about ahead of time, was there anything else you want to talk about? Things that you had been working on, Kyle?
No, I was just thinking about that frequency beats intensity because I think it definitely, I guess he's talking about growth, or he's talking,
The article is how to be happy.
right. Okay. So yeah, then frequency would definitely beat intensity because I mean, we have finite hormonal resources to expend on happiness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is one way of looking at it. So once you've spent your budget, you can't get any more that time. So it's better to, I think it was, man, I can't remember where I read this, but there was a social scientist who was making the case that it's better to have a lot of small wins than one really huge win every once in a while from a psychological perspective.
Yeah, so something that's kind of interesting, a different article that Eric Barker wrote as well, who's the author of this How to Be Happy. Um,
Hmm.
he mentions that if you go out to dinner with somebody, let's say that you go out to dinner with the same two group of friends, and you go out every week, you increase everyone's happiness more by switching who takes the bill and that person paying the entire bill, because basically you really like getting free things and each extra dollar paid doesn't decrease your happiness by that much, and so one person bears the burden. But as long as you switch who's paying the bill, like we don't like paying for things, right? We like free things. Does that make sense?
For the example that makes sense, you're also simplifying the experience. So instead of everyone digging into their wallet to get out their card to have the waiter
Mm-hmm.
split the bill, you know that you're making life easier on the waiter by having one person pay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and you're also giving one person the chance to be magnanimous each
Definitely.
time, so they
What?
get a kick from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Giving, especially to people who you care about, is, and maybe giving to strangers, just as well. But if you're sitting down to have a conversation, you're probably not, they're not going to be strangers or not likely to be strangers. But yeah, even that's another one of the things in here. I'm looking at our notes, and I just kind of made a quick, like, here are the different things that he says to do, and giving
Hmm.
is one of those.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, but back to your point, the intensity and the frequency was what you were getting at. That once, let's say that you have, it's almost like cell phone bars, right? Once you've got full signal, you've got full signal, and any additional bars that you get after a certain point, it's like you're already at full.
Right, exactly. You've already filled up the cup. You can't make the cup any more full. But
Mm,
the cup has a little hole in the bottom of it
mm-hmm.
of anxiety and difficulty and all these things that like drip happiness out of it. So if you keep putting a little bit into the cup, you're going to keep that cup full. But if you just dump one once a month into that cup, it's going to be
Mm.
empty for a while.
That makes me think of how we relate to our wives as well. Just like
For sure.
it's more important to go on a date every week or maybe every other week, or bring home flowers, or whatever's special.
I have a really funny comment on that actually.
On the flowers
From
specifically?
no, is actually on going out.
Okay.
So my wife and I went to a parenting conference this last weekend,
Oh boy.
and
Were y'all
this
socially distanced? Never mind. Go on.
you probably shouldn't ask that. Actually, I mean we were pretty socially distant.
Okay.
Most people were pretty socially distant, but
So you went to a parenting conference,
yes,
Kyle. Let's
yes,
focus
keep me
up.
on, keep me on task, keep me away from the and the speaker was fantastic. He had all these great stories that he could use to illustrate his points, and he knew how to use humor. So it was a lot of fun to just listen to him.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the points he made was, guys, I don't think you realize this, but if your wife is a mother and you you want to just get coffee with her, you can't get coffee with her at home, because as long as your wife is at home, she's thinking, I'm a mom and we're only spending this time together until the kids wake up, and then I have to be a mom again. So she's constantly on high alert and can't relax.
Mm.
Whereas for you as a guy, you can go into a different room from where the kids are, and you've suddenly ceased to be dad. You are now just
You're just Kyle.
husband.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or yeah. And so you don't even think twice about the fact that your wife is thinking about how she's a mom, while you're just thinking you're a husband in this situation, because the kids are napping and you guys are sitting together by yourself. And
Mm.
I thought that's interesting. So I turned to my wife and said, is that really the case? And she looked at me and went, are you kidding me? That's definitely the case. And so
Huh.
that was a big eye opener for me, that, oh, I do need to make sure I get her out of the house more frequently, just us.
Do you so I am not a father and you are. Do you do you feel that way? Like when you basically, if the kids are in another room, you're kind of just, out of sight, out of mind, like that?
It depends on if I can hear them or not.
Okay, so
So
once you leave the threshold of your home and they're left with mom, it's like now I'm focused on the task I'm doing and
no, even if I'm in the house, if I can't hear them,
mm-hmm.
I don't think about them until I do hear them again. The
Mm,
speaker's point was that mom thinks about the kids when she's in the home, whether she can hear them or not, because she's
so she's
expecting to hear
responsible.
them.
She feels responsible or
She's
something.
responsive,
Mm,
or not responsive. He went back to the whole men's brains are boxes and women's brains are like spaghetti.
mm-hmm.
And so because men can compartmentalize in general more than women can,
Yeah.
a man can go into a different room, not have any stimulus that would remind him about the kids, and be totally off in a different, he might as well be in a different state. But
Hmm.
mom, as long as she's in the house with the kids, it doesn't matter that the kids are quiet and napping or just playing quietly. She's on high alert for when she'll have to do mom things again.
It's like when you're in a different room, you don't hear them, but when she's in a different room, she's listening for them.
Exactly.
Hmm. Okay. Well, cool. Um, do you want to run through these? And if is there any is there any others of these items on this list? So I'll just say them. Gratitude. The next one is do what you are good at as often as you can. Spend as much time possible with people that you like. Money is good. Many other things are better. Give, savor, strive, be optimistic, even to the border of delusion. Fundamentals are fundamental. Uh, which he breaks out into two other things. Like if you're feeling upset, first to eat something and then take a nap and then see if those feelings still persist, which I think is kind of funny. Um, frequency beats intensity and avoid life's most common
Mm-hmm.
regrets, which he lists five of those, but I figured that, you know, that's kind of he talks about the deathbed regrets that are
Right.
somewhat well known. Like, I wish I hadn't worked as much, or I wish I was truer to myself, which I don't know that people actually feel that way. I think that people probably long for a connection. Like that's been the deathbed experiences that I've had.
Mm-hmm.
Not I wish I was truer to myself. Like people aren't actually. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure about that. I haven't like there's been only two people who I was close with that I had any kind of significant interaction with
Mm-hmm.
related to death. So I don't know. Yeah, do any of those though jump out at you that you want to chat about in our short amount of time left?
A lot of those remind me of topics that we've touched on before,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's money's not everything, or I guess we haven't talked about gratitude a lot.
Yeah, that was actually the one that was kind of.
Maybe that'd be a good one.
Yeah, I feel like I mean, have you heard of this idea of a gratitude journal before?
Yeah.
Like, so it seems, and maybe this is what they mean when they say be grateful and like write down two or three things that you're grateful for every morning. I haven't done that before, but it seems very. I can't think of a more complex word than this, and so I'm just gonna say it seems dumb.
Well, I think it's important that any of us are are grateful to someone.
You were gonna say grateful for, yeah, grateful for someone, grateful to someone. Yeah, I mean, gratitude actually implies a giver.
Hmm. I just remember a story from a teacher. They're talking about how they went over to a non-believer's house for Thanksgiving, and before the meal, everyone stood around the table and had a moment of silence to think thankful thoughts. And they were thinking at the time, who are we supposed to be thinking thankful thoughts to? Like if
Mm,
I give my kids something and they thank me, they don't thank just thin air. They are thanking me as the object, as the person who gave them that object.
yeah. Well, and I think because we, as a society, as an American people, we have grown up like it was religious freedom was one of the things that people came over here for, from England and other places. Like there's a Christian tradition here, and so this is something that I notice atheists do is they want the good parts of Christianity and not the parts that they see as bad. And one of those things that's really good is gratitude.
Hmm.
I don't know that there are other. I'm not sure about other religious traditions that deal with gratitude, but that's definitely something that I see modeled in the Lord's Prayer and lots of other places in the Bible.
Yeah, the Psalms are full of gratitude.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Well, and I mean, we see that just in David's life and in a lot of the epistles as well. So
I was going to say, even as far back as Abraham, when he gives the tithe to Melchizedek.
which is a weird story. Melchizedek's kind of like a
There's,
wandering priest. It seems like.
yeah, I've heard some people have actually said that that's a theophany.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think
You want
there's
to
anything
A
in
theophany is
scripture,
like Christ showing
an
up.
appearance of that may not be the right word.
Christophany?
Christophany, that's it. Thank you. The appearance of Christ in the Old Testament, pre-incarnation.
Okay.
And there's not, at least I haven't heard any convincing arguments as to why that would be the case. It's been more of a, what if that was the case sort of thing.
Would a better example of a Christophany be the fourth person in the fire with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego?
Yes, that's a more clear.
Yeah. Are there any others?
Yeah,
I feel like I'm
the
silly.
three men that come and visit
Oh, sure.
Abraham before Sodom and Gomorrah get
Why were there three?
destroyed.
Do you know?
Trinity.
Okay. Sure.
That's kind of where my mind has always gone.
Yeah. So okay. So let's get back to gratitude. We're being grateful
Yeah,
to God. But how would you practice that? Would you write it down? Would you not? Would you? Um,
practice it. I mean, on one level, in prayer every day.
sure. I feel like those become. I feel like in a lot of ways my prayer life has become somewhat rote. It's a
Is it
practice that I do.
is it rote because you're? Do you feel like it's rote because you're praying about the same things, or
hmm
rote because you go in the same pattern? Or
More because I pray about the same things. Yeah. That's
does your church have a prayer list that they send out, or your denomination?
yeah, yeah, they do. They send out a prayer list for yeah, each week. We go over it in announcements, basically.
It seems like most prayer lists are so long that I can't keep that many things in my head. So if I just
Mm,
hit a couple different things every day,
mm-hmm.
I eventually work my way through the list.
Okay.
But I am thanking God or making a petition of God for different things.
Do you follow any kind of a tool that I've used in the past and maybe should pick back up again since it's worked for me in the past is the acronym ACTS, adoration.
I do that every time.
You do that every single time. Adoration,
Yeah,
confession, Thanksgiving, supplication. Gotta get the
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, kind of the Thanksgiving and supplication will kind of bounce back and forth.
Sure.
And confession is never as long as it should be.
Maybe.
But
I don't know. That's an interesting idea. Like why do you say that? Why do you say confession should be longer?
confession is not because I should use many words, obviously. Jesus condemned that, but
Mm-hmm.
because I wouldn't say I don't ever think I'm caught up on all the sins I've either committed or omitted or committed
Mm-hmm.
by omitting to do.
Yeah. Committed by omission.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Just because I forget things.
Yeah. I don't know. There's grace enough for that though. Um,
Oh, for sure. And I'm not, yeah, I'm not saying I like you have to get every single. Obviously, there's grace, or else
mhm.
if if I forgot one thing and then that was what undid my justification, uh,
Yeah.
that wouldn't work. I guess to clarify what I was saying about the confession is it's not so much of a required thing as much as it is a there's always more that could be done.
It just sounds it sounds like you might want to focus on what you've done instead of what Christ has done for you. When you say that, it sounds that way to me. I don't know if that's true.
Oh, no, that's not how it was that's what I was trying to communicate with the it's not so much of a requirement as much as it is I'm not expressing that there's more to do in the sense that, "Oh, I'm so far behind, I need to catch up," as much as it is, "Oh, there's always more that could be done there."
Okay, yeah.
I feel like I'm not communicating this very clearly.
Clear to me. Clear as mud, which is a fantastic segue into what I had wanted to talk about. Me and
Okay.
segues today, worm theology, which is what as you were talking about confession, I was thinking about that, and that's. Are you familiar with that term? Just the
Oh,
idea
yeah.
that it's actually like exactly what I heard you saying, and maybe I was already thinking of this, and that's why. But just that like woe is me, I am a worm, like, and constantly focusing on how, instead of what Christ has done for you, focusing on all of the sins that you've committed, focusing on um, how undeserving of Christ you are, which I don't want to downplay how undeserving of Christ we are as humans,
Mhm.
but when I focus on how I've committed sins of all kinds over, when I focus on my identity as a sinner, it seems that it's like if all I think about is I'm a sinner, it's like, well, what do sinners do? They sin constantly, every day, in every way.
But that's why you have adoration before that and you have
Mm-hmm.
thanksgiving after it.
Yeah, yeah. I just,
It makes it impossible to stay in the valley.
sure. Okay. Yeah, I just, that's something I think that my denomination has an issue with from the pulpit. We constantly like that message of, and it could be taken the way that I've just said it. That maybe that's depends on the pastors and the ones that,
Do you think everyone takes it that way when they hear it? Because one of the things that's been fascinating to me is to hear how different people hear the same exact message and take it a totally different way.
I would love for you to listen to the sermon that was preached this last Sunday and tell me how I could take it differently.
I'm actually this actually goes into a question I had for you, which was how did you guys decide to go from the church you were at to the church where you're at now? I mean, you ended up at the
Are you talking about Hawkinson to Vancouver within the same denomination?
yeah, yeah, because I mean, you ended up at Hawkinson because of marrying your wife, is my understanding.
Yeah, that was pretty much the reason.
Well, I mean, and things had kind of broken up the last place you were at, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if broken up is the right word, but I had wanted something smaller, and I had wanted something that was I mean, at a certain level, we had to make a decision for one, what seemed best for both of us, and
mhm.
there's problems with every church, but the community that I had built at the Hawkinson Apostolic Church had, in a lot of ways, won me over.
Mhm.
And the problems there didn't. I don't know. I'm not. Yeah, that is longer than a minus 2 minute conversation, which is how long we have. But to give you we had quite a few friends who moved to another state, and our community somewhat dissipated at that church. And
Okay,
it's a smaller church than where I had gone before, but um, not there's like 400 500 people who go there, so still.
that's a big church.
Hmm. Absolutely. And then we had some friends who were going to the Vancouver congregation, and the preaching style was a little bit different, and that was something that we had wanted as well. And
I
um,
remember you saying that. Yeah,
yeah, so those were some of the things, and we had
more worm theology.
what's that?
More worm theology.
I mean, it's a our congregation thing, not a our pastor specifically, or our previous pastors specifically. But we had, to get a little more, not too much, but we had been coming up with reasons why we didn't need to attend a certain week. We had kind of come up with excuses at the old at the Hawkinson campus because
Right.
we felt very disconnected, and instead of reaching out, we reached in, and that probably wasn't right, but
It's a common temptation.
yeah, yeah, and we're still dealing with that some, especially with COVID um and other things that we're not going to talk about right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. I heard at the very start of COVID, I heard a pastor say that with the lockdown that there had been a famine of the Lord's table.
Mm,
And he was talking about that. I mean, he's taking a fairly hard line on it being a judgment on the people of God
hmm.
for a lack of proper worship. And he's in a very this guy's in a very conservative church, very conservative denomination. And so inappropriate worship would include a lot of things that happen at both of our churches.
Is it because we do things other than sing psalms?
That's one thing.
Kyle,
Psalm singing, head coverings.
I really want to respect your time and your wife's time. It's 7:05.
We can go to 7:10.
Okay. I'm leaving this in.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So he had taken that line.
Yeah, but I was thinking about if people don't attend church right now,
Mm-hmm.
that is a long time to go without remembering Christ's sacrifice through the bread and the wine.
Well, I mean,
I'm curious what you think about that.
an honest question is like, I want to love my neighbor as I love myself, and I think that I'll just summarize and say COVID is real. It's like it's a real thing, and it
Oh,
really
for
does.
sure.
So,
But define real, I guess.
um, a real and present danger
Okay.
that by going to a place where I know people will be gathered and not caring about their
Uh-huh.
neighbors in the way that I feel called to,
Uh-huh.
removing myself from that group and limiting the spread, especially now that I have started to hear people from my congregation getting sick
Uh-huh.
with COVID, and
With serious effects.
not at this time, but they are just starting, so I'll let you know in a couple of weeks. But yeah, I don't see. Yeah, a lot of people have died, man. And maybe you don't agree that those are COVID deaths, but I guess I do. And
Hmm.
so that's I hate it. I'm tired of wearing masks. I'm tired of not hanging out with groups of people, especially as the holidays come. I'm used to spending time with people. Yeah, there's no part of this I enjoy, but I also want to love my neighbors, and so that's the how I'm doing that right now. As far as not remembering the Lord's Supper or not practicing it and remembering His sacrifice with the bread and the wine,
Hmm.
I think this is, yeah, I think my wife and I are doing what we feel convicted to do, and if we're wrong, then hopefully the Lord will correct us soon and tell us to go to church because, I miss it.
Well, I mean, I'd say it's good to miss it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to miss it if you aren't there, I guess.
Hmm.
It's not good to miss it, but it is good to miss it. If
Oh, yeah, the
that makes
English
any sense.
language.
Yeah, it's confusing.
It's good to long for it.
Yes,
It's
there
not
you
good
go.
to skip it.
Yes.
Hey guys, Daniel here again. Thanks for listening to our episode. If you enjoyed it, please write your mayor thinking of you card. We'd really appreciate it. You can also contact us at socratichobbits@gmail.com or visit us at socratichobbits.com. We haven't asked for reviews before, but if that's something that you do, we would really appreciate it. Thanks.